Belief is a difficult thing to hold on to when there's a lack of vision and when dreams begin to fade. It's the most difficult thing to hold on to when you're exhausted, confronted by one disappointment after another, one broken promise after another. Belief is wounded. Suspicion and resentment chip away at it until it fades into memory and it disappears into history. So, what I want to boldly say is this: America, I still believe. I've never felt the need to say that. I've always assumed that the American dream would always speak for itself and would always shine even in the darkest moments of struggle yet to come. I've never questioned whether or not the dream would endure. But I realize now that dreams can be taken for granted. I looked around today and asked myself, where have all the dreamers gone? Where are all the champions of the ideals that made this nation a bright moment in history? Today I realize that dreams are not static things. Ideals change and greatness cannot be possessed. It must always be earned. America is a great nation, but not by default, and not because other nations are not. America is a great nation by choice. We're great when we choose to be, and mediocre or worse when we forget how to be. Our ideals of freedom and our appetite for competition and fairness are often the envy of the world when we remember what the demands of freedom are and what the opportunity to compete and the duty of fairness is all about. All across this nation, the real enemy is amnesia. It's dividing us. It's revealing the inadequacy of our compassion, and not just for each other, but for dreamers outside our borders, near and far. We're forgetting who we are, and in this amnesia, we've become frustrated and disillusioned. We're increasingly intolerant, and most concerning still, our most used remedy is to point the finger at each other and cast blame. All across this nation and around the world, there are worthy opportunities that invite our creativity, that welcome our good nature and crave our sincere compassion and deep desire to help. And when we respond to these opportunities with partisanship, hidden agendas, and a lack of humility, we damage the dream in worse ways than any weapon or acts of terror and violence can. But this isn't who we are. We're not bound to the reality of the broken promises and to the wasted opportunities of government. We're not bound to the fear and to the uncertainty that's provoked in us when terror strikes or when the economy implodes. We're not constrained by the feelings of unfairness and resentment toward bankers and corporations who seem to operate by selfish agenda only. We're not crippled by the periodic hiccups of progress in our story towards a post-racial society, and toward a society where the specter of poverty isn't constantly lurking. We can do better in this country. In this changing environment of fear and uncertainty, we can re-empower our imagination with a youthful vigor of adventure and challenge, and deploy again a daring and worthy purpose with the unwavering commitment and the seasoned patience that have been the enviable hallmarks of the great achievements of this nation. In this moment of suffocating uncertainty and blinding disillusion, I still believe in the fundamental qualities and in the enduring character of the principles of our North Star. I still believe in the American dream. We don't talk about the dream because I'm convinced we no longer know what it is. America has never been a nation. America has never been about what's contained within its borders. We hold these truths to be self-evident. These words have no borders. They don't belong to a single people. The stars and stripes have always had the capacity to reignite the flames of hope in disillusioned hearts across the world. America has always been an idea. And if you know that, then you know what the dream is about. The dream is that our unique experiment with freedom will unleash individual potential in ways that add to the progress and to the prosperity of humanity. What will you do with the freedom to be great? That is the dream, the opportunity to discover the answer for yourself. What will you do with the freedom to be great? It's not about being perfect. It's about the opportunity to try. It's not about broken promises, ineffective governments, or corrupt politicians. It's about what you're able to do next. It's not about who you are. It's about who you want to become. The dream is not about where you came from or what you don't have. The dream is all about where you want to go and what you're prepared to do to get there. My name is Angelo, and I'm the Motivator.
It is a revolutionary world that we all live in. And thus, as I have said in Latin America, and in Asia, and in Europe, and in my own country, the United States, it is the young people who must take the lead. Thus, you and your young compatriots everywhere have had thrust upon you a greater burden of responsibility than any generation that has ever lived. There is, said an Italian philosopher, nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. Yet this is the measure of the task of your generation, and the road is strewn with many dangers. First is the danger of futility, the belief there is nothing one man or one woman can do against the enormous array of the world's ills, against misery, against ignorance, or injustice and violence. Yet many of the world's great movements of thought and action have flowed from the work of a single man. A young monk began the Protestant Reformation. A young general extended an empire from Macedonia to the borders of the earth. And a young woman reclaimed the territory of France. It was a young Italian explorer who discovered the New World, and 32-year-old Thomas Jefferson, who proclaimed that all men are created equal. Give me a place to stand, said Archimedes, and I will move the world. These men move the world, and so can we all. Few will have the greatness to bend history, but each of us can work to change a small portion of the event, and in the total, all of these acts will be written in the history of this generation.